Sorry. What is it?
So for the person writing the one page response, it says in the response discuss how one or more images are important in one of the poems. So I guess for this one, instead of writing what we discussed about, like note style, you're supposed to write like a response to the images, one of the images we discussed about. You get what I'm saying?
Should I start the broadcast maybe?
Okay. Okay. So shall we start with the first question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So the first question is, what images are important in each of these poems? Okay.
What images or what? Can you say that again?
What images are important in each of these poems? So I think we're supposed to read 3 poems.
Yes. Let's start by the first one. First guess.
The first case.
First kid. Okay. This poem's really descriptive. It has a lot of things that paint a picture in your mind, give you a good idea of what is happening.
Yeah. And it kind of, in the middle of the poem, it kind of talks about how awkward it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like how awkward the first kiss is, because she says she thinks it lasts at least this long first kiss postpones the moment she'll have to face 4 white walls. It's kind of like, I don't know. To me, it's like the awkwardness of the first kiss, I guess. For them, it was.
For me, I would say descriptive, like even the first 2 line, like this collection of tea for tongues for the dawn. So I would say it's really it's really descriptive too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So is so. I guess what I'm trying to say is, what's the general picture that this poem, creates? Uh, I guess if you were to draw this poem, how would you
Having a
draw
first guess? I don't know.
it? I guess so. I guess, yeah. I guess it's just straightforward. Yeah, just describe your first kiss. Okay, so I guess we'll move on to the next poem, the Sonnet 43. How do I love thee?
The picture for the image, we have to like get a general one from one.
Hey guys, I will only do one poem, First Kiss, or all the poem.
For this question, I think it's asking for
It's for
all
all the
the
poems.
poems. Yeah, each of these poems. Yeah.
The poem. Okay, thanks.
Okay. So the sec.
How do I
Okay.
look?
The first is a sonnet 43. How do I love thee? So I would. Mm, hmm.
I think this poem,
Any thoughts?
"How Do I Love Thee," is basically like describing um how he loves her. I mean, like different feelings of love, and yeah, expressing the feeling of love in different ways, I guess.
Yeah. Or you can see like the image of he's trying to express. Yeah, just like kind of
Mm-hmm.
like what you were saying. He's trying to express his love.
Yeah.
Well, the
And
poem is mainly focused on love
yeah.
in way of mm, types of
Right.
in a way. Yeah, so there's different types and kinds of love that the
Hmm.
the poem.
Like it says, "I love thee freely. I love thee purely. I love thee with a passion to put to use immortal griefs." All right, is that what you're talking about? Wait, okay, keep saying "I love thee" to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay, so the image from this poem, I guess, is like expression of love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, different.
Expressing of love um
In
in
many ways.
different way, in many ways.
Okay. Any other ideas what image this poem presents?
What poem? The
This is
last one?
the no. We're still on Sonnet 43. How do I love thee?
Oh,
Any other comments
Okay,
about this poem?
the main images, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on the How Do I Love Thee?
Yeah, Sonnet 43.
No.
Okay.
If there are any like other comments about any images that this or main image that this poem presents.
Mm, we can do the third, and we'll see.
Okay.
Okay, so the third poem is called
Ozymandias.
Ozymandias. Thank you. I didn't pronounce it.
Okay. So I did read this poem in an AP English class from high school. So I want to know if see if you guys know what image he brings it because I know what image it's talking about because I've dissected this poem for high school before.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it is good. So now I'm gonna ask if you
What?
guys know. Okay.
That's good. Then you can discuss your our answer. You can give all the answers for that question, that poem.
Share your knowledge with us.
Okay. So
Uh,
Ozymandias at one point was this great leader of the of well, back in the day he was a great leader of the city. And what they did was they created this huge statue for him, thinking everybody who passes by. So think of this big
Mhm.
bronze statue that is built in the middle of nowhere, where it used to be a big city, and this bronze statue was
Okay.
there to commemorate somebody's great leadership. So, oh, as he thought, you know, this is gonna do that. But if you read in the ending of the poem, it says the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. On the pedestal, these words appear: My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look at my work, ye mighty, and despair. So, to Ozymandias, he thought he was his great ruler, but he really wasn't. As it says, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed them. So he wasn't this. He wasn't. To him, he was this great leader, but to other people, he wasn't. That's why his statue wasn't recognized that good, and it like um, kind of became a ruin in that way. So that's the picture it paints. Is that well? The image is that there was this big, beautiful statue, but now there isn't.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it said
so what is that statue? What is that statue that you're talking about?
okay. So Ozymandias is this guy who used to be a king of a city, or whatever you want to call it, and he built a statue out of himself, thinking other people are gonna worship it. But he wasn't that great of a king,
Okay.
so nobody worshipped it, and it became like this broke down statue that nobody even knows about in the middle of nowhere. That's what Ozymandias is. Yeah, because it even says nothing besides remains. So what happened to all his work or all his, you know, his precious things and his city and whatnot? Around the decay of a colossal wreck. They're calling the statue a colossal wreck.
Mhm.
Boundless and bare, the lone and level sand stretched far away. So they're alone in this vast desert is this statue that nobody even knows about.
Oh, yes, it
Yeah.
would be the main one. Like, is it about the sculpture, the statue, or you know?
Well, I pulled two images about the statue that he built. It's more like pride, I guess,
Oh, okay.
because he on his statue it says on the pedestal it says my name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look at my work. But then the next part of it says around the decay of oh nothing besides remains around the decay of that colossal work, boundless and bare, the lone and level sand stretched far away. So I guess you could say like he was prideful about himself.
He was prideful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I guess like from the poem, it's more like it talks about like how you say he was prideful, and it's like described um in the like sculpture. like that he made. I think. I mean, like the character of the statue that he put. Like, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, in the beginning of the poem, it talks about the statue.
Okay, so the image is King, whatever his name was.
Ozymandias.
Ozymandias. Ozymandias.
Okay. Shall we move on to the next question, or are we still working on that question?
Thank you. Another question.
Okay. So the next question is, what things are described and how are they described?
Starting with the first poem, The First Kiss.
Okay, so
Okay.
or in general, I guess, how are these things described?
Well, the first one would be details. We have to face from the kitchen table. Yeah, a lot of and I mean, I hope what I'm saying is right, but oh, what things? So the first one would be, well,
They're
the
describing the first kiss, right?
movement of the first kiss. How by using like that can supposed to be. Also, what the girl thinks that her first kiss will be. We can also see the last part is more. It's more her feelings and emotions about the situation. So when we read something, we can do it. So yeah, I would say that.
Okay. Yeah, I think this first poem, how they're describing their first kiss was, they use a lot of descriptive words. So, or like nouns to describe things. So like the collision of teeth, of tongues and lips. That right there is an imagery phrase. So like it already puts an image of in your mind. And that's only the first sentence of the poem, or the first line of the poem. And then it just gets more detailed as it goes down.
Sorry, you were describing the first line.
Yeah, how the first line, just reading the first line, you can draw an image of this poem.
The second one?
The first line. Oh, around the second poem or the first poem?
The first one?
Yeah, first poem.
The first
The first kiss.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
This collision of
Shall we move on to the next poem?
The second one is
How do I love thee?
so what are they? What things are describes? More um well still love and the different ways we can someone, but how it's more about it's the same. They're using adjectives, adverbs like freely. I love the girly. Like it's really like she's really the author is really passionate about it.
Yeah, it's like the other one. They're just using as many descriptive words as possible. And even in this one, though, um, I guess every time she starts a sentence, she will repeat the same words. I love thee. I love thee. I love thee. It's kind of like trying to get your point across, repeating yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I think um each lines were like using a lot of adjective to describe love. And I think like for example in that line, I love thee freely as men strive for right. It's kind of like the speaker really like describe how he really loved the girl. And like for men strive for rights, that means like he must be really like in love, um as he like strive to win her or something. I don't know. I think that's how they use words like to describe love.
Mhm.
Weird poem.
So the last poem, Ozymandias. Even in this one, they use a lot of this like descriptive words, like adjectives and whatnot. They'll describe because it says in the poem, two vast trunkless legs of stones stand in the desert. Near them on sand, half sunk and shattered visage lies, whose frown a wrinkled lip and a sneer of cold command tell it that tell that its sculptor whose passions read yet which yet survive. Oh my goodness, I just butchered that. That's okay. But yeah, even this one, it has a very lot of detailed, like descriptive words to kind of enhance that image in your mind, I guess. Because in poetry, they use this skill called imagery, and that's what they're trying to do here. Uh, Draw an image and then make it more clear, I guess. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Uh-huh.
It's we do the third one.
Yeah, third question.
Oh, the men.
Why describe these things? So I guess this question covers for all three. Why describe them?
Well, I feel like well, the image of the poem it's mostly the main idea of when a reader and like authors need to describe things in order that readers can understand what they're like just telling a story or expressing themselves. So describing is probably the rule number one when you write something, because the readers needs to first in their mind what's going on, what's happening. So I would say that first, the second, and third, they're all the same, like describing the scene, the emotions, the feelings. It's mostly for the reader. So that would be my answer for that question for me.
I
No, I
totally
agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that because, especially in poetry, I feel like that's a focus, something that they want to paint the picture for the reader so that the reader knows, what's going on, and it's that's the art of poetry, to be able to make someone understand and kind of imagine in their mind, and make those words come to life, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like you describe these things. So you put in the image in the beginning, and then you only further describe them so you can keep the reader's attention, I guess. So it's like you hit them with a punchline, and then you give them something even more interesting just to draw them in. I guess that'll be my guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I think with poem, like it's more fun if the speaker really describe things in like so that the reader could like visualize the image of the poem in their mind. All
And
right,
I feel
let's
like
move on to another question.
it's
Shall
pretty
we?
much the same question. It's why describe them in this way? I mean, we pretty much discussed that, but I
Mm-hmm.
guess if you guys want to add to that question, why describe them in this way?
Why describe?
Hmm.
I don't know. I think it's pretty much the same question.
Why describe them this
Why
way?
describe them in this way?
Yeah, I think it kind of gets the same answer,
Yeah.
like we already said, so that the reader kind of gets an idea in their mind of what the writer's trying to say.
Yeah. It's kind of
I could
relying the
say.
message through picture, but relying the image through words, kind of.
Yeah.
So when you write a poem, you wanna paint this picture and make sure the reader can understand what the picture is. If that makes sense. Okay then. Shall we move on to the next question?
Yeah.
Okay. The next question is, how does describing them in this way make us feel about them?
Sorry, are we still in how do I love thee? Or like we move on
Oh no,
to
we're
the
just
other?
these questions pretty much
Next
cover all
question.
three. So it's just like a general question. It doesn't focus
Okay.
on each poem.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next question, the question we're on now is, how does describing them in this way make us feel about them? So
So for that one, I would say said them, is it the author or the poem itself?
Does describing them in this way make us feel about them? I think it's asking how does describing the images make us feel about the images.
Mm. Well, we kind of like when we read something, we're more like, if we have a clear image of what's going on in a poem or a story or just whatever, the reader can feel the emotions of it. Like, for example, when I really read sad stories on like Emily who lost everything, or like poems about love, or poem about sadness. So you can always feel, as a reader, you can always feel the author that they're using, because it is supposed to help us to understand in of with words. So it's mostly for the readers, actually.
I think by the authors describing them this way, it gives us a better understanding about what they're trying to, but understanding of the message they're trying to relay. Because even though these poems all talk about what they do or what they come across or whatnot, there's always an underlying message to them. And so I feel like that's what they're by describing these images, that's what they're trying to get at, is the underlying messages. Like Ozymandias, the underlying message was like pride, or don't be too prideful. And then like how do I love thee is more of being grateful for the person you love or whatever. I'm not sure. But it's kind of like they do these things so that we can understand the underlying message. Or that's what I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. Thoughts?
Any other final comments, thoughts? Okay.
Okay.
Next question.
Next question. So, how does the image affect the message of the poem? Oh, kind of talked about that.
I
Already.
think maybe the reader might remember more what it made them like imagine in their mind. You know, the picture that it painted. I think they'll remember better what they thought of as they read than the actual words that are written. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They might not remember word for word what was written, but they remember what they imagined as they read. The picture that it painted in their mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Okay. Next question then. This next question is: how does it help the poem make a point about an issue or theme? I guess I said it's like the same thing, but I guess for this question is if you can imagine it in your mind, then it's easier to understand. Like it's one thing to just read something and just read the words and try to figure out what the message is. Then imagining it, and then like seeing what the message is in your mind. I guess if that makes any sense at all. Anyone else
Mm-hmm.
want to comment on that?
How does it- I think it's really like it really helps the poem. Um, I mean, how does it help the poem to make a point about an issue or theme? I think in this way, like for example, for the poem on the first kiss, I think it helps the poem because um we can only think of like first kiss, like what is first kiss and da da da, and but there are a lot of ways to express or ways um to emphasize on the meaning of the first kiss or like the experience like really helps the poem to make a point on I mean the image of the first kiss like helps us to make a point on that theme,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah.
I feel like these questions. Oh, yeah,
They're pretty much just
they're redundant. If I will say, but she's gonna see this, so she'll know that I said it's redundant. But yeah, okay.
mm,
Any last comments, questions, concerns, or whatever about this discussion before we end?
they were nice poems though.
Hmm?
They were nice poems.
They were.
Like I don't know. I always love poetry because honestly I won't be able to write like that. Like put everything together and like really
Is Sonnet 43 a
kind of hard.
oh, I thought it was a Shakespeare poem, but it's not.
Yeah, but well, images are really like we understand why images are really important
Yeah.
to
It's like reading a book.
to poetry because we have to feel something from every poem.
Yeah. It's like reading a book. If you're bored of reading a book, you're not gonna have an image in your mind. But if you really like a book, you're gonna have something in your mind that'll like make it fun for you. If yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, is there anything else?
Hey guys, sorry, as the last thing, I mean, like to make sure we quote from the poem, but throughout our conversation, I don't think like I really write down any quotes from. Maybe I'm just gonna describe like the quotes that you guys are talking
Yeah.
about.
So
Like
what I
they
would
were
do
like really specific.
is look back at the poems and then stick in
Uh-huh.
the quotes where they fit in on a discussion. or in the response that it asks you
Okay.
to give. Yeah. Because it asks, I think it says that describe an image. So yeah, from there, just put in the quotes wherever they belong. Alrighty. So our next discussion, if I don't make a mistake this time, is
Okay.
January 29th, which is, I don't know what that is.
January 20, is in 5 days.
5 days.
Next Monday.
Sweet.
Next Monday. Yeah, January 29th.
Okay.
Wait, last question. We write this as an